Hi, my name is Chloe de Chavigny. I'm a spiritual coach and I also work in the film industry. And today I wanted to talk about the importance of healing and trauma work and shadow work, which is pretty much the same thing. It's important to talk about this because in order to, for example, if you want to make contact with a higher dimensional being, you also need to raise your frequency vibration, which is the same thing, in order to be able to communicate with them. So it's important to understand that if we have any blockages, limiting beliefs, past trauma stored in the body, it's gonna impact our connection to our higher self, the divine, God, whatever you want to call it. So it's important to know that we have 5 different bodies. We have the physical body, we have the mental body, we have the energetic body, we have the spiritual body, and the emotional body. Where we can see that trauma is still trapped in our 5 bodies is that the physical body can become sick. We might have pain, illness. If mentally there's still trapped emotions, trauma, whatever, it's going to show up as thought patterns that are subconscious. So we have 95% of our thoughts every day are subconscious thoughts. That's a lot. And it is said that we have about 60,000 thoughts every day. That's a crazy amount. So if you're stuck in a negative loop and you're always like shaming yourself and talking bad about yourself in your head, then it's going to ripple out in all your different bodies and even in your manifestations every day. The spiritual body, it can be seen as not being able to connect with your higher self. The higher self is the soul. It's the purest form of consciousness that exists. If you have trauma and trapped emotions in your spiritual body, which is your soul, then it's really hard to connect to your intuition, your heart space, and that can really impact your life. For our energetic body, it lowers our vibration. That can just be like anxiety, depression, just not feeling at our 100% best, not being able to make a decision because it's the ego and the heart that are like against each other, so it's like hard to really follow our intuition. And for the emotional body, that can look like emotionally reacting, being unstable emotionally, going through highs and lows, mood swings and all. We can carry on past life trauma or even carry trauma that comes from other people, so whether that be our caregivers or our friends around us and all of that. So for example, there was an experiment made on mice where they would electrify the mice to see their reaction, and so obviously the mice would be traumatized by this experiment, and they found out that without re-traumatizing new mice, so the generations after the initial mice that were traumatized by the electrifying, they found out that just hearing the sound of the electricity in the mice that were 5 generations after the initial mice, they would react the same way as the mice who were electrified. So that means that trauma can be stored in the DNA and can be carried on generations. So when you do the healing work yourself, you are also healing past life and ancestral trauma. So that's really good to know that when you do your own healing, you also do the healing of your ancestors. So in the spirituality community, shadow work is basically trauma work, which is healing. What we call the window of tolerance. I'll put it up here for you guys to read. You can pause if that helps. So usually you're in the window of tolerance. And to recognize a trigger, because triggers are what brings us back to that memory, that past event that impacted our life, or it can be, or we don't even know the source of that trigger if it's from ancestral trauma. So within the window of tolerance, you feel emotionally safe, you feel open and curious, you're able to self-soothe, self-regulate, think rationally, be able to difference between thoughts and feelings, and you're able to tune into your intuition and your awareness. If you get triggered, then you can either fall into hyper or hypo state. The hyper state is when you feel emotionally unsafe, you feel overwhelmed, uncontrolled emotional reaction, impulsive and poor judgment, and racing obsessive thoughts. And it can also look like your heart that's racing super fast. So that is one type of reaction that you can have. The other one is hypo state. So that is when you're feeling numb, drained, you feel like you have a mental fog, unable to think clearly, feeling ashamed, desire to isolate, hopelessness, empty, dissociation, unable to look ahead. The hyper and hypo is basically the fight or flight state. And so it's important to become aware of what kinds of triggers make you enter those zones. And when you're in those zones, it's really hard to act from your heart and be in touch with your higher self and your intuition. So that's something to remember. What is the trauma cycle? The memory of the event leads to an emotional reaction. So you enter either the hyper or hypo state. And then this causes behavioral and character changes within yourself. We want to identify, purge, and then release to be able to move on, because what happened in the past, and there is only the now moment, and anxiety is usually like being scared and feeling unsafe of what's going to happen in the future. How is healing important in your spiritual journey? So, like I said in the beginning, if you're willing to manifest your dream life, you want to take control of your own person, your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own like what you attract in your reality, in the physical reality, it's important to do the healing work. And so that's where coaching and healing comes along. So coaching is the mindset aspect. It's how to reprogram your way of seeing the world and reacting to the world. So coaching will focus on the mindset, how to change your behavior patterns. And it's all the aha moments of, oh, when I feel triggered, is because there's a sense of abandonment there. So, and the healing is all about identifying the trauma and then purging it, which you can do in multiple. Purging can look like different things. And then being able to release it and to be able to move on with your life. So I am working on a coaching and healing service like business. It's gonna be like different programs, different courses, part of the whole 3D to 5D shift that's going on the planet. Well, we need to do the healing work to be able to raise our vibration, raise our frequency, to be able to manifest what's in our highest good. But if we have all these limiting beliefs and all of these blockages that are preventing us to become who we really are, then it's gonna be hard to go through the ascension. So I want to be there to help as many people as I can to go through that process of identifying your triggers, and with healing modalities, like for example meditation. If you meditate every day, it's gonna practice, it's like a muscle where you need to train, and eventually it's gonna become more and more easy for you to connect to your higher self. And there's so much beauty and love, unconditional love on the other side. It's just about doing the work. And I know everyone has a busy life, but I call it spiritual self-care. You brush your teeth every day, you wash your body every day or whatever. It's the same thing. You need to take care of your spiritual self. Your soul needs as much love, self-love, as your physical body. I will be releasing more information soon about my services and the pricing and all of that. So this was a little overview of the work that I'm going to do. So thank you so much for listening. I am constantly posting on Instagram, YouTube a little less, but I'm gonna try and post more on Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook as well. So all of my platforms are at Chloe de Chevigny. I hope to see you soon, and take care of yourself, and sending you love and light.